Finding that work-life balance is challenging for many of us. Can you give us a few tips that you talk about in the book?
Yeah. So first stop is understanding how to take control of your time again. Okay? And time is this thing that we're really bad with because we're bad at saying no, right? So if my commitment was to be hanging out with you right now, but then I also texted a bunch of my friends in New York and said, hey, I'm in town, I'm gonna try to squeeze in to see you, and I've got something after this and something before this, what I've done is just compressed a bunch of stress onto my schedule, and it's just unreasonable, right? So like if I tell the guys I'm gonna go out and get a drink with them and say yes to that, I just said no to my sleep, I said no to my health, and I said no to my family. Right? And so look at that in life and then look at your calendar and say, you want to be healthy and you say you want to exercise. Where is that in your phone? Did you book time for yourself? Because all the other appointments are in there, right?
Right.
And so learning to say no to those things and managing your time to give yourself time. Because the problem is we feel like we don't have time for ourselves and we're the last person we book an appointment with.
That's right. We're the last one. I do it all the time.
Yeah, guilty as charged. And so I've built a whole framework around it for my own life. Because look, I make movies, I write books, I have kids. I mean, I got bullets flying everywhere, right? So I can't afford the luxury of not being well. I can't afford the luxury of coming home tired and cranky because my kids don't deserve that.
Right. But what happens when you schedule that time in and the alarm goes off, the reminder goes off, and you ignore it?
So the question becomes, how do we
stop doing that?
Yeah, how do we challenge that? So the question is, why did you ignore it, right? And getting into the why of why we ignore the commitments we make with ourselves is powerful. Right? So as I speak, I create. You could take that from the root of the word Genesis. You could take that from the essence of all Buddhism is as I speak, I create. My thoughts create my reality. And so if I say I'm going to do something and I don't do it, that's a contract I just broke with myself and the universe. So really stopping to take ownership and have agency of those actions with what we say we're going to do is the kind of the fundamental lesson. Because look, we've all trained ourselves to fail. Oh, this new year I'm going to do this thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, I blew through my resolution. It only took 2 weeks.
I stopped doing that years ago. I don't believe in that New Year's resolutions.
Oh, because they don't work.
Right, they don't work.
I make commitments. I make these 100-day gongs, and I have thousands of students have done this and follow through every day for 100 days.
I like that.
And then you nail it. And then you move on. And if you fail, you start over, and that's fine. Lesson learned, right?
Okay.
But what you do is then you take reasonable steps to getting to where you want to go, not saying, like, if I want to say right now, like, hey, Pedram, what do you want to do? Is like, I want to be an astronaut. And you're like, well, you're also a filmmaker and a dad and all sorts of other things. Do you know what kind of work that takes? So really kind of looking at what kind of energy, time, and life force investment needs to go into the commitments we make, and then committing to just the few that matter. And then you can add them later. But look, I'm 40 years old, and God willing, this is only a third of my way through my life, right? And so what that means is I got time if I act accordingly. If I try to do it all right now today.
Right. Yeah.
You go crazy.
You can't do it.
Right, but that's our world, right?
It's not possible.
That's our world.
Right, so we have saying no, taking ownership. I like that 100-day gong. You know what? We'll think of it, we'll see if our Rewire Me community can coordinate something with your 100-day gong. I'll commit to it.
Cool, great.
And commit. There we go.
There it is.
It is.
And that's really it. The framework is committing, because what you're doing is the primary promise that you have in life is your promise to yourself. You keep that, then you keep your promises to the people in your world, and you keep your promise to your commitment, then you have your word that is solid and it has the power of the entire universe behind it.